Warner had been working on a remake of the 1981 Excalibur for over 10 years. It was supposed to be directed by Bryan Singer and star Keith Harington, but the project never progressed from the prep phase. Then Warner wanted to create a movie-verse made up of 6 films, the first of which they entrusted to Ritchie.
I was interested in some incarnation of that. I mean, I was 10. And at some point, when Warner Brothers or whoever was going to give me money said, look, we'd like you to do it, then we had enough stuff in the tank to go and make it. But the important thing was not to be intimidated by the legend and all the other incarnations, but was to try and make something that a contemporary audience would find stimulating.
That's how Lancelot, Merlin, and Guinevere were cut from the story, to be replaced by a mysterious female mage. But a lot of the magic was also excluded from the story. Arthur was transformed from a pure-hearted peasant to a brothel-owning racketeer.
That came from a chap that I knew. He was born and raised under the bed in the brothel until he was 15, and he sort of had a wonderful way about him that he was tremendously protective of all the ladies.
The resulting screenplay was like a cocktail of Lord of the Rings and Snatch.
Fuck you. You know of what I speak, Gandalf.
Booby, I probably know a lot you don't.
And I was walking home, and they would come up to me and go, "How, man, are you that film star?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "I fucking knew it. Gandalf the Wizard, you fucking beardy bastard."
Guy had 3 candidates in mind for the main role. Henry Cavill was the main contender, followed by Jai Courtney and Charlie Hunnam.
I'd had a lot of people telling me over the years, like, "Do you know Guy Ritchie?" And I would say, "No." He said, "Oh, you kind of remind me of him. Like, you guys are cut from the same cloth, 2 peas in a pod." And so I had developed this sense of actually an inevitability of a friendship developing when we finally met. And then King Arthur came along, and I thought King Arthur, one of my favorite stories, and Guy Ritchie, it just seemed like a match made in heaven. And so when I threw my name in the hat and said I would very like to be considered as your Arthur, and Guy said, "Yeah, thanks very much, but probably not," it actually sort of crushed this illusion that I had, and my feelings were terribly hurt. And he didn't want to see me, and I wanted to become an actor from watching John Borman's Excalibur. Felt like, if we're doing King Arthur, that's my role. But he didn't want to see me. I was shooting Sons of Anarchy. It just so happened that the week that he was going to meet actors in London was the one week that we have off in the middle of the season. So I said, "Please, literally 20 minutes, a cup of tea. I'll fly myself to England. I'm asking just for 15 minutes. And then if you still don't like me, then, let's, more fool you."
Once Charlie forced me to have a cup of tea with him. It didn't take long before I realised that we were on the same frequency.
And after 90 minutes, I realised that we'd been talking exclusively about the California Medical Marijuana Initiative. Going in and out of discussing that, along with some other sort of more sensible topics, but none of which were actually the film. We didn't talk about the film at all. And I walked out the door and I was like, "Oh shit, we never talked about Arthur."
You never end up talking about the movie on any of these things, by the way.
And then he called me the next day and said, "All right, you won me over. I think you're great. Why don't you come and read for me?"
Hunnam impressed him with his ambition and edginess, but the actor had lost 9 kilos for the last season of Sons of Anarchy, and frankly looked wimpy.
And that actually was a bit of a stumbling thing for me getting the role, because Guy had wanted a quite formidable Arthur. And because Guy had never really seen anything that I'd done, didn't know how formidable I could be. And the last time that Guy said, are you sure you can be formidable? And I said, "You know what, pal? If you're so concerned about it, let's just forget this. Turn the camera off. Why don't you bring those chimpanzees in here that are auditioning against me, and we'll have a little fight." Yeah,
he didn't tell you who he had to fight, though. We've got kids in the movie. He was very happy to take any of the kids on.
I maintain, although Guy denies it, that was the moment that I got the part. I feel a joke coming on here.
Before you go any further, he lost. They were much bigger, and I gave him the role out of charity.
Yeah. And then
They all lived happily ever after.
The actor got back into physical shape and brought incredible results.
I set myself a goal of doing 1,000 push-ups a day minimum. And I'm a little bit crazy. If there's a day where I didn't get the 1,000, then I would punish myself and have to do 2,000 the next day.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, you know.
Then the byproduct of that is that you look like a gym dude, which was never my intention. And anytime I see a picture of myself sort of all six-packed out, I think, what a twat.
To prepare for the emotional aspect and street version of Arthur, Charlie imitated the Irish UFC champ Conor McGregor by watching his interviews and fights for hours on end.
In my mind, I thought maybe I could fight Conor McGregor, but
You thought?
I don't think it would go too well for me.
To play the antagonist, Guy invited his colleague from the Sherlock films, Jude Law.
We had a deal.
The project was also joined by Eric Bana, Jaimin Hansu, and Game of Thrones stars Aidan Gillen and Michael Mickleham.
Now tell me a story about a girl called Lucy, a Viking called Greybeard, and some rebel graffiti dirty in these walls.
Are you writing a book?
For the female lead, the director chose Astrid Burgess Frisbee.
Are you falling for me like I'm falling for you? We want to be careful.
Arthur's friends and sidekicks became new faces, Kingsley Benadir and the Utopia series star Neil Maskell.
Quarter party.
But even in this project, the details were not lost.
10 digits. Round the blunt bit. Give it a tug. Left foot, right foot, collect your brand, back on the barge.
So our kids go to the same school, and I've used it before in the previous film that I did, Man from U.N.C.L.E.
You did attempt to make him less beautiful in the film, didn't you?
Yeah, that was down to me. I walked onto set and said, I think you should check the contracts. I have to be the most handsome man on set.
And though David Beckham's screen time dramatically increased, few noticed the appearance of Guy's wife, Jackie Ainsley, on the screen. The scope of the picture was awe-inspiring. In order to find the perfect filming locations, Guy and the whole team drove around all of Great Britain.
It's my favorite place in the world, the Highlands. It's in rain or sunshine, doesn't matter, you know. I just love it up here. Someone gonna tell me where we're going?
The production designer was Gemma Jackson, who became famous thanks to her work on the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones.
I know who you are, Mage.
The miniature Londinium was made up of a few real-sized streets, with mind-boggling attention to detail. It took over 2 months to construct the city.
I was always fascinated by the idea of Roman London. Very few people know that London was Londinium and that it was a thriving Roman city.
I had a vast art department because I had to. I had 8 art directors. Each of the art directors head up a different set, and then they have a team. I called them the town planning department. Drawn up everything really here, and worked out all the logistics and all the kind of minutiae. When I'm running around like a blue-ass fly, they're working out things really beautifully.
I've got to tell you, this is brilliant.
Good, thank you.
It really is.
Behind the camera was John Matthiasson, who had worked seamlessly with Guy on his previous picture. The actual shooting was preceded by 3 months of construction, sewing costumes, and making props. 20 versions of Excalibur were made, and the final version had at least 40 copies.
10 of them being metal, 30 of them being, rubber stunt fighting versions.
He then forged the great sword, Excalibur.
I tried to make a sword on King Arthur, and there was a lovely old chap whose job it was to look after the sword. And so one day I was just casually sort of walking out the studio, and he said, "Charlie?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Where are you taking the sword?" I said, "Home." Naturally. And he goes, "You know what? I would actually happily let you take this sword. But Guy has requested a brand new, beautiful sword that he's going to present you upon Rap." I just said, "Oh, that's so nice." And I gave him back the sword, and Rap came, and no sword arrived. So, 2 things happened. Either the old sword wrangler bamboozled me, or Guy still has my sword. Is that the reveal today? Are you going to bring the sword out for me?
So I think, Guy, do you have an apology for Charlie?
I can do better than that. Well, sort of better than that. Yeah, you know what's coming, you naughty girl.
The sword is yours, son. The sword is yours, son. Take it.
Ritchie's 3 previous reels were of epic proportion, but King Arthur set the bar even higher. The battle scenes contained over 600 extras.
Action! Open!
Guy's collaboration with Charlie Hunnam was synergy.
Oh, so we're back to that story, are we now, Jack?
They found common ground from the first day on set.
Well, I tend to be very, very earnest and serious about my process with acting, and Guy recognized this very early. I think it made him quite nervous, and he said, all right, Sunshine, this, whatever you're doing, Daniel Day-Lewis impersonation or whatever it is, you can put that to the side, because we have to have fun every day, and if we're having fun and making each other laugh, then the audience will have fun and we'll be making them laugh.
Oh! I see the camera there.
The director allowed Charlie to decide for himself if takes should be reshot.
One more from the top.
Mother. This is the last. Tell him it's the last you want. Off.
In return, Hunnam took Ritchie's quirks in stride. For example, it took 2 days for the actor to film the first scene.
I did a lot of push-ups leading up to that day. And it's funny, we had this whole big montage planned out of pull-ups and push-ups and heavy bag, like a proper little Rocky montage. And then that whole business was just me trying to stay in the zone between takes. And that's ultimately what Guy wanted to use in the film.
The filming process lasted from early February to August of 2015, extending the original time frame by 67 days. Editing and computer graphics took just as much time.
After about 6.5 years, or however long this film took to make, we are done. So thank you very much.
The original length of the picture was 3.5 hours.
And then halfway through it, I fell asleep. And I realised I had to do some work.
It was a piece of miscasting that ended up crippling the central storyline that's actually not in the film anymore.
Tell me every detail.
So Guy had to spend another 2 months cutting it down to 124 minutes. Originally, the picture was supposed to be released on the big screen in July of 2016, but it was held up due to production delays for almost a year. In the end, the reel was released on the 12th of May, 2017.
And then, they all lived happily ever after.
No, they didn't either.
Ever wonder what qualifies as a box office flop? Well, take a look at your screen for this quick example.
King Arthur, Legend of the Sword is a royal flop. The $175 million take on the legendary ruler opened in third place with just $14.7 million.
I have not seen it, but not enough, I guess, to bring in the crowds. Kenny?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, but not exactly the best return on investment. 15 mil, all right.
Welcome to the Docklands.
A week later, both Warner Brothers and Guy Ritchie deduced that the plan for 6 films had to be scrapped. Scathing reviews from viewers confirmed their hunch.
I'm captivated by the Arthurian legends, and I just felt like we really missed an opportunity to tell a long-form story.
Still, the film found its fans, and despite negative reviews, still found its way into the hearts of Ritchie's supporters.